When my best friend Anna invited me on a weekend trip to the Palisades in Los Angeles, I jumped at the chance. Anna had just inherited her late grandmother's house, a sprawling mid century modern tucked away in the hills. She described it as a dream escape, complete with panoramic views of the ocean, vintage decor, and a sprawling backyard that backed up to Topanga State Park. Think of it as a getaway before life gets crazy again, she'd said, her voice tinged with excitement. I didn't hesitate. The Palisades sounded like paradise compared to the chaos of downtown LA. Plus, Anna and I had been friends since college, and it felt like old times to take a spontaneous road trip together. But what she didn't tell me, what I wouldn't learn until much later, was that the house had a history. A dark, unsettling history that the locals refused to talk about. The drive up to the Palisades was beautiful. As we wound through narrow roads lined with towering eucalyptus trees, the city faded behind us. By the time we reached Anna's grandmother's house, the sun was setting, casting an orange glow over the hills. The house was exactly as Anna had described, a stunning architectural masterpiece with floor-to-ceiling windows and clean lines. But something about it felt off. The windows seemed too large, almost like eyes staring out at the surrounding wilderness, and the shadows cast by the trees seemed to stretch unnaturally long, as if reaching for the house itself. "It's beautiful, right?" Anna said, grinning as she unlocked the front door. I nodded, not wanting to ruin her excitement. But as we stepped inside, a chill ran down my spine. The air felt heavy, and the faint scent of lavender mixed with something metallic lingered in the entryway. The first night was uneventful. We unpacked, cooked dinner, and sat on the patio, sipping wine as the distant sound of waves lulled us into a sense of calm. But everything changed the next morning. While exploring the house, I found a leather-bound journal tucked away in a drawer in the study. The pages were filled with neat, spidery handwriting, and each entry was dated between 1957 and 1962. "Check this out," I said, showing it to Anna. She flipped through the pages, her expression shifting from curiosity to unease. "This was my grandmother's handwriting," she said softly. The entries started innocently enough. Notes about dinner parties, gardening tips, and visits from friends. But as we read further, the tone shifted. April 15th, 1960. The shadows are back. They linger by the windows at night, watching. I told Robert, but he says I'm imagining things. I'm not. I can feel them. June 3rd, 1960. Something is wrong with the garden. The roses are wilting, even though I water them every day. And last night I heard whispers. They were faint but unmistakable. Am I losing my mind? Anna slammed the journal shut. "It's just old lady paranoia," she said, laughing nervously. "Right?" But I could tell she wasn't convinced. Neither was I. That night, the house felt different. The comforting hum of cicadas was gone, replaced by an eerie silence. As we sat in the living room, the sound of faint whispers filled the air. "Do you hear that?" I asked. Anna froze, her eyes darting around the room. "It's just the wind," she said, though her voice wavered. But the whispers grew louder, more distinct. They seemed to come from the walls themselves, faint voices overlapping in a language I couldn't understand. We searched the house, trying to find the source, but the moment we entered a room, the whispers would stop. It was as if they were playing with us. By the third night, neither of us had slept much. The whispers came and went, always just loud enough to unsettle us, but never clear enough to decipher. That night, I woke to a sound like fingernails tapping against glass. I sat up, heart pounding, and saw a shadow move across the window. It was tall and slender, with unnaturally long limbs. "Anna?" I whispered, shaking her awake. She groaned, but when she saw the shadow, her eyes widened in terror. "Close the curtains," she whispered. I rushed to the window, but before I could pull the curtains shut, the shadow darted away. Impossibly fast, almost like it had dissolved into the night. The next morning, we decided to leave. But as we packed, Anna found a door in the hallway we hadn't noticed before. It led to the basement. "I don't remember this being here," she said, frowning. The air grew colder as we descended the stairs, the faint smell of decay growing stronger. At the bottom of the staircase was a small, dimly lit room. The walls were covered in strange symbols etched into the plaster, and in the center of the room was a small wooden box. Anna hesitated, but curiosity got the better of her. She opened the box, revealing a collection of black and white photographs. The photos showed the house in various stages of construction. But in every photo, there was a figure in the background, a shadowy figure with glowing eyes. As soon as we left the basement, the house seemed to come alive. The whispers grew deafening, and the shadows stretched and twisted, forming shapes that seemed to reach for us. We grabbed our bags and ran, barely pausing to lock the door behind us. As we drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw the shadowy figure standing in the driveway, watching us leave. We never went back to the house. Anna sold it a few months later, though she never told the buyers about the whispers or the shadows. Sometimes I still dream about that house, about the symbols in the basement and the figure in the photographs. I wake up drenched in sweat, convinced I can hear whispers in the darkness. Anna refuses to talk about what happened, but I know she remembers. How could she forget?